Also.
Welcome everyone to the school committee meeting of, excuse me, September 26th. Could we all rise for the publication? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Chris, could you please read the mission and vision?
Sure. The Falmouth Public Schools mission is the Falmouth Public Schools creates world-class student learning experiences. Our Clippers are empowered to pursue their goals with curiosity, integrity, and resiliency. And the Falmouth Public School vision. Clippers are creative, inquisitive, and engaged learners who participate in their community as socially responsible citizens. Clippers effectively communicate and solve problems that impact the world around them.
Great. I don't think we have anyone for student advisory tonight, so I'm just going to move on to public comment. Members of the public are welcome to speak about items that are not on the agenda. Comments should be limited to 2 minutes in length. Due to open meeting law, the committee cannot take action on public comment for items on the agenda. The chair may accept comments from the public following the committee's discussion of an item. Additional comments and feedback can also be submitted by email to schoolcommittee@falmouth.k12.ma.us. Are there any public comments? No. Okay, seeing none, I'd like to turn it over to Dr. Durr for the presentation of district and school goals. Thank you. Thank you.
We're back. June, so much we're back once again. So good evening. For the 23-24 school year, the administrative team has refined and strengthened our district's framework for student success, specifically around the Clipper experience. We are, the framework is built on the core work that we've been doing over the previous years, while we are going to emphasize certain key areas for improvement, growth improvement this year. So tonight, our administrative team is going to present 3 focus areas for this school year. Nothing new. What you will hear is a renewal on the excellence and personalized learning, equity and belonging, and communication. And yes, I heard you, that we need to improve on communication. And so while the team kind of wrestled with how, we've been working on our skills, and we've sharpened the message, which is what tonight is all about, is sharpening the message. So the 3 areas that we're talking about is related obviously to the mission, vision, core values, and the priorities in the framework. So first I want to thank you for every evening at the school committee. You always start out with the mission and vision and reading that, because the school committee really does set that vision for all the important work that the district's doing. So I appreciate that. In the connections to the vision, words like creative, engaged learners, inquisitive participants, effective communicators, and resilience are all important characteristics for our students to develop through their school career. In fact, it's connected to the charting the course to graduation, which is really about what the Clippers need to know and be able to do to be able to successfully graduate and be prepared for college and career. So as well, the work connects with the core values. Our core values really sets the conditions that empowers our students to be able to be successful in that and achieve that excellence. So Sonia and I are going to share a little bit about the core values. The first core, oh, I'm losing my screen, sorry.
I'm just gonna pass it to you.
So just to kind of back up, we did the mission, vision, and now the core values there. So the first one is really about the joy in learning. It speaks to personalized learning and students achieving their personal best. And we believe that students find joy with challenging, interesting, and relevant learning.
And one of the ways in which we really work hard to find joy is thinking about the work that we've done through developing our partnerships both within the Woodsville community and with the professionals across Falmouth Public Schools district, the town of Falmouth. So we have both our overarching and our contributing goals here, then also thinking about the experiences, for example, that Carmel has been able to share in each of our grades and bringing in some of the fun times that our students have had, thinking about Oceans Day and the students kind of pictures we get of them holding up the fish and the variety of experiences. And now as we continue to deepen the experiences at the high school and working with MASC Audubon and thinking about that and you know, Mrs. Kelly isn't seeing you standing there thinking about the experience that you and Mrs. Baker provide every year for our students through your collaboration and your team. So really excited to find out.
So the second core value is about cultivating an appreciation for diversity, for creating those inclusive environments and ensuring equity and access for all students.
Since when you think about here the work that we're doing, I think it's a really great time to put in a plug for next week's second annual day of belonging. I think there's a lot of ways in which we reach out to our students, but remembering that we're working to really partner with and understand each other, because if we understand who we each are and what we each bring as assets, then we can certainly help to bring that out from our students and help them meet success.
And our third core value is about students achieving at high levels in a safe and healthy learning environment where students get to use their voice and choice over a deeper learning.
And as we're working with our students to kind of get back to the joy in learning, personalizing their experience is one of the ways that they lean in and share their voice, but then also how they express their learning, the works that they create, whether it's written, spoken, in music or performance. And I think we just continue to grow with the range of opportunities we provide for our students as they develop their identities, but certainly help collectively develop what it means to be a Clipper.
And all of our core values work to cultivating learning environments that inspire excellence. And then to talk a little bit more about our framework for student success. I'm going to turn it over to Sonia.
Sure. So in thinking about the framework for student success, built on our mission and vision, there are two components. The first is our theory of action, which is that if relationship, if we do certain actions, then we will come up with a specific result. And so in our theory of action, we say that if we foster an ongoing student-centered professional dialogue and practice, that everything we do is focused on what's best for our students, the outcomes of our students. And we align that in our teaching and learning, our collaboration, then we elevate learning and support students to increasingly personalized instruction. The result is exactly what our mission says, the world-class learning opportunities and experiences through which our students gain the knowledge and skills that they need to be competitive in college, career, as well as become active in the global community. So they're also competitive in the community and that they understand that they're the future of both Falmouth, but of the other communities in which they find themselves, where we hope that they reflect those values so they can understand what they contribute and how they affect the system. And so that's all built on the 4 strategic objectives, starting from left to right, first with teaching and learning, which I think is often something we put in the forefront of any conversation we have about schools. We understand that schools are about that work in teaching and learning and developing the academic and social aspects of our children, but then thinking also through access, equity, and opportunity. And I think oftentimes we talk about meeting students where they are, as they are, that we have very different entry points, but that we're working really hard to bring our students up to that high standard of achievement and growth. And then supporting that is that wraparound of our community partnerships, whether it is in the academic setting that we talk about sometimes with our school and professional partners, or if it's in the development of the social, emotional, physical, and psychological safety of our children with a whole nother host of partners about whom we speak. And Dr. Woodward has shared information on. And then ultimately the Foundation for Excellence, which really takes a close look at how everybody contributes to those outcomes. Because if we have a strong foundation and we are well resourced as we are, then the sky's the limit and the opportunities that we can provide for our students, and that's certainly what we are all contributing to. So what I would like to do now, Mr. Bushey, is I'd love to welcome you to share a little bit about the direction of the framework.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here to present with this administrative council, and it's always nice to connect with this wonderful school committee that puts in a ton of time and probably doesn't get told how much they are appreciated of them. So thank you for all you do. So this is a reveal here. I was thinking there might maybe get a little more energy around this, like when I was rehearsing in my mind. So this is a framework for student success. You can see this graphic captures the three main focus areas the administrative team identified for the current school year. Each focus area has established benchmarks to measure progress, and the other members of the administrative council will talk us through those benchmarks shortly. So the focus area, the first thing you'll see in the middle is the Clipper experience. And this unifies the two elements which Dr. Doerr set the stage for earlier, not new, but re-energizing our foundation on a community committed to excellence, a renewed focus on high quality instruction and academic rigor to ensure all students are engaged in challenging, hands-on learning that prepares them for success in the future. And of course, on the other side, every student, every day, an unwavering commitment to personalized learning for every student, including healthy social, emotional, mental, and physical development. So you'll see above and below the two critical elements, which are interwoven through everything that we do as a district. And that's focus area number 2, diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging. And focus area number 3, two-way communication and partnership. So it's very exciting, and we're really excited. We're really going to dig into the 23-24 school year. And at this time, I am going to pass the mic off to the esteemed Mr. Tim Adams from
Oh, and Dr.
Sorry.
There we go.
So our focus area number 1 is the Clipper experience. Here's our goal statement. It's ensuring personalized learning and commitment to excellence for every student. I think the essence of this goal really is, also gets to setting high expectations for behavior and academics, and it's really so all students get what they need. The rationale behind this goal, really some full language here. There's a lot of detail, but just kind of want to break it out a little bit for you. That we'll be focusing on clarifying and articulating the relationship between academic excellence and personalized learning. Our school district tagline has 2 statements that you've all heard many times, but we are a community committed to excellence in every student every day. And we believe it's more important than ever to emphasize the synergy between those 2 statements. They're connected, those will be. One works with the other, right? And together, those 2 create the Clipper experience. We affirmed our commitment to students' healthy social, emotional, physical, and mental development. We value the uniqueness of each student, and we all invest deeply in the whole child. In partnership with families, we discover each student's needs, interests, and assets. Our schools strive to be safe, welcoming learning environments, grounded in strong relationships among all students and adults, offering a wide range of customized supports to help students overcome obstacles and achieve their full potential. And these commitments are really embodied in that tagline, every student, every day. At the same time, we recognize that students must be continuously challenged, both personally and academically. Our curriculum are carefully designed, reviewed, and updated to ensure our students are prepared for the challenging world of learning and work in the 21st century. So it's always something fluid, right? We believe that every student must have access to high-quality instruction and academic rigor. We guide students to achieve academic success in a manner that embraces opportunities to take risks, learn from mistakes, and grow as unique individuals and citizens within a larger community. We create learning experiences in which students can see themselves, so they're empowered to take ownership of their learning. And in that way, we truly are a community committed to excellence. Think about the work that we started last year, in particular, memory jumps up for me in the spring, where Dr. Harris and I had a joint staff meeting at Morse Pond. We started to set the stage for some of this work about a community committed to excellence and having high expectations. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Harris.
Thank you. I will read through the rationale that was there, but I do want to just, as we try to work with our school communities, our parents, our teachers, and our students, I think one of the things we've really appreciated in the dialogue we went through the summer, the focus from the school committee, is what can we ground into and keep as kind of a beacon as you do that work every day. And so the rationale behind getting at personalized learning and excellence, sometimes when you work with teachers or you talk with families, there's a sense of, their student behavior or classroom management that somehow is separate from the academic and the teaching. When they're all together, right? It's all teaching, it's all learning. And in what ways are we seeing the entire student and seeing the learning that needs to happen? And I think for us, and a piece that was an eye-opener for me as I walked the hallways last January and talked with one of our teachers who's been there for 15 plus years and asked what he had seen or observed was maybe different now than it was 15 years ago. And he looked at me very sincerely and he said, right now after the pandemic, I'm not sure exactly what I can expect from the students. And I think for me, it captured a lot of what I felt, what we heard from parents, what we heard from students, right? Everything, and I think the goals reflect this, everything from what it means to be engaged, that at Falmouth High School, you'll put your phone away and your earbuds away in your backpack so you can be engaged and being clear about those expectations, to what it means to know numeracy as a third grader, as a skill set and as an application, to what it means to know sine, cosine, and tangent as a high school calculus student, right? That I think is in calculus, I'm not sure. The point being, really trying to zero in on, there was a tendency as we came through the pandemic to begin to separate social emotional from the academic learning. And recognizing it's all right in front of us. And we need to empower our teachers to stand in front of the room and be confident about their expectations. And it was a really helpful meeting, new to Falmouth schools, realizing we can do a better job as a high school of connecting with the teachers working with fifth graders and at Lawrence and at the elementary school. We're all doing the same work. And how do we connect with one another and be consistent? And so one of the benchmarks we talk about is around math and learning, connecting the student to the learning. They need to see themselves in the learning. Historically, curriculum has not represented every single student that sits in the classroom. And our teachers need to do a better job, and we as school leaders can do a better job to make sure they see themselves at school so they know that they're a part of it. The second piece that we believe are very closely connected, and it's really important we don't see these as separate, is what it looks like to be a learner. What are the habits of mind that we expect from you? What does it look like when you come into the school in the way that you're dressed and the way that you function and the way that you attend the class? How do we address it when you engage in behaviors that have disrupted the learning of others, or language that has interfered with someone's safety? And I think what we feel good about and feel very much empowered by you, and very much thank Dr. Dewar for the emphasis of being able to say to our teachers, let's address that together. And let's be clear about what those standards are. So that teacher, whether they're a kindergarten teacher or a third grade teacher or Morse Pond or Lawrence or a high school teacher, can stand confidently in front of the room and say, I expect this related to your behavior because that's what excellence looks like. And I'm going to expect it for every student every day. And that means you. And at the end of it, that's what those benchmarks are. So I am turning it over, I think, to Sandy or Jill.
Thanks, Director. All right, so our focus area number 2 is diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging. So simply put, we're going to be focusing on diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging. And as all of my colleagues have shared, as we look into the rationale for this goal. So what we're doing here in Falmouth is we're going to value all students and nurture them so that they become the individuals that are able to appreciate and respect one another's differences, perspectives, and measure their voices, all students' voices, in a healthy manner. The diversity of our school and our community is one of our greatest strengths. We've talked about that many times here in this room. And in Falmouth Public Schools, we're really proud and committed to eliminating any disparities and inequities in our opportunities and our academic levels. What we talked about, we're going to look at all students. We look at student groups. We look at opportunities in the classroom, outside of the classroom, and from preschool all the way up to 22. Every single educational and academic opportunity for our students, we'll be looking at those. We are committed to make sure that those things will be looked at for every student, based on, regardless of the student's race, ethnicity, language, gender, ability, or socioeconomics. So we mean it when we say for all. We strive to give students, families, and our staff backgrounds and identities feel safe, welcome, and included, and that they truly are bringing what we talk about. And Henry has brought this. I believe every school committee meeting we have, and the focus that we have is a true sense of belonging here in our corporate nation. And with that, I'm going to pass it over to Mary Ann so that she can provide us with some more ways of implementing that.
So the overarching benchmarks for this focus area are creating an environment that teaches and reinforces belonging for all students. And in doing that, we will have the wonderful belonging series of community meetings that will be facilitated by Dr. Felice Warnham, who is fabulous. If you haven't experienced her, I strongly recommend that you go. She's a wonderful facilitator and speaker. Also providing and reinforcing our social emotional learning opportunities, and really looking at psychological and physical safety for students, which is supported by the trauma training that Joan's office has facilitated and the district health and safety committee. The second benchmark is creating an environment that advances equitable conditions, and a real foundation for that is the equity audit that Mr. St. Julian is leading, and we will obviously take the results of that, and that will inform us as how we proceed forward. And the third benchmark is making sure that we have structures in place that support equity and belonging for all students, which every school now has equity teams, and we will just continue to sustain professional learning to reinforce equity and belonging throughout the district K through 22.
I'm next. So the third focus area is the two-way communications and partnerships. So I think, as you can tell, we all feel pretty fortunate, speak for all of us, to be part of the Falmouth Public Schools, and we recognize and appreciate our role in this community. But we also know and understand the importance of communication, and that was really brought to the forefront last year. So this year, really, we're going to be working hard to provide those opportunities for us to listen and gather feedback, to help drive our work. It's important for all of us that our partners have a voice in the decision-making process. It's also important to us that we continue to develop our relationship with our community partners, so that we can offer our students a learning environment where they are engaged and enjoy their learning. I think there's nothing better than seeing students who are really passionate about something that they're going to learn. So next, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. St. Julian.
So we have three benchmarks that we really want to dig into. First of all, is if we're talking about communication, the very first thing I was always told, we have 2 ears, we gotta listen, we gotta listen, we gotta listen. So listen more than we speak. And so we want to find positive, consistent avenues where we are listening to our to our community, to our students, to our staff, to our students, whoever, And we had an opportunity this morning to listen to one of our community partners. And so we want to be consistent in that. We're gonna have host some coffee hours at every school. And so that's another way of listening before we do anything else. And so that's important to us. The second benchmark is definitely, I love this group of people because we want to learn. We are educators, we are learning, we're taking classes all the time. So we took some time for professional learning with Chris Harmon and his firm, Harmon Communication. Not only did we have time over the summer, but we had homework. Always had kids going, hey, yeah, we have homework. We're in a, I think we had a great study group. I felt like I was in college again. And there was always one student that was always doing all the work. Thank you, Joan. And, but we're learning, and so I hope that's communicating that we are always learners. And so how to do this? It's not a natural thing. It's something that you must learn. And which is the third benchmark is exactly what it means by that. So we want to clarify the communication strategy. Myself, that means putting the stuff that we learn into action. Dr. Dora told me to do a flyer, and I was like, oh yeah, this flyer for belonging, and so I had it on there. I pounded everything, I wordy everything, I had a nice detail. Yes, this is the best thing. She looked at it, she called up Chris, what are you gonna do with this? They took it and they said, let's clarify this. Let's make sure. I go default mode. I'm going right into, no, I gotta learn, I gotta clarify. So that was a great learning experience for me to make sure that we are always clear, concise, family geared with some of these flyers. And so that was a great example, and I hope this is what we're gonna be doing here with our website, with any initiative that we have, any strategies, any opportunities, that we're gonna be clear, concise, and communicate well. Listen first, learn, and communicate well. So those are our three strategies. That's the thing.
And so we, this is the unveiling of this year and the graphic that really speaks to us about the Clipper experience. As Tom shared in the beginning. So our, to reiterate the three goals again, is the Clipper experience, the diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging, and our two-way communication and partnerships. And we'll take any questions or discussion. We welcome discussion.
You covered everything so well.
Mike,
Can I ask about communication? I don't know how it works, but does each school send out their own email blast, or is that one master email text blast thing?
Now, each school has their individual, so they do a weekly staff communication, and weekly family communication.
I mean, more so in case of emergency. Who's in charge of that email text blast?
So both, it's between, it depends on the situation,
Okay.
but between the principal and myself, there would be communications.
Just because when we had that lockdown at Morse Pond, would have been last week at some point in time, I didn't know anything about it. I saw it on Facebook, which is not the best way to see stuff. And there were students and parents from like T-Ticket in East Falmouth getting alerts that the bus was going to be late before the Morse Pond parents even knew that there was a lockdown. So that's not the best way to communicate. And you know, you have a half hour of parents talking to their kids and stuff via cell phone or seeing stuff on Facebook. So, if we had one voice in case of emergencies, that would be beneficial, because it took way too long to get information to the parents in town about the buses being late and also the lockdown. It's a lot of time to think about stuff.
Kelly, so I don't know what it is about this plan for this coming year, but it really resonates with me. I feel like it is such a clear articulation of what we have been saying we are trying to do and the things that we're trying to do, but they're all lofty, of course, because to do them well, it's going to be a lot of work, but they're so targeted. And so I really like them. I feel like it's in line with Lori's goals. It's in line with the mission and vision. It's aligned with the stuff that the school committee has prioritized over past years. It really hits it really well.
Thank you.
Susan.
I want to thank you all very much. I'm thrilled to hear about the behavioral, the social, and the academic expectations. I just think it's wonderful that there'll be a common thread between the grades. So that first grader, once that first grader arrives at your school, Dr. Harris, they know what's expected in all of those areas. So again, thank you. I'm looking forward to it.
Thank you.
Heather has her hand up. Can we promote Heather? Heather, you're muted. Okay. Here she is.
Okay, there we go. So yeah, I guess I have two kind of related questions. I agree. I think it's a really ambitious and clear and important plan. My question in two parts is I get a lot from the two-way communication and partnership, and for that matter, DEIB goals about engaging families. What I didn't see as much and would love to get more clarity around is how are we listening to and engaging our students in that two-way dialogue? And then also just kind of curious whether you've given any thought to engaging alumni, and that came up in particular thinking about when we talk about being able to see our students being able to see their impact and envision themselves being a member of the community. Do they ever hear from Clipper alumni how they are doing that and how their experience? Because as we all know, as wonderful as our teachers and our parents are, at least for children of my age, they far prefer to hear it from someone closer to their own age than they do from the grown-ups.
Anyone?
Okay.
I mean, on the student piece, and thank you for bringing that. We have worked to create kind of multiple tiers of student ways in which we hear students at multiple levels. So there's a student leadership component, right, where they elect. There's a club component. There's a building out of an athletic captains component, but then there is also some intentionality about student focus groups, students meeting with the superintendent. So we really have tried to make it not one place where we hear student voices, to really make that circular and processing through, create structures and organizations for the way students can engage that are similar to the way we're trying to engage the adults. And we should probably do a better job of the way we broadcast out the ways in which students are able to engage.
And through our communication strategy this year, we'll work on that, and you'll hear more from us throughout the year.
We have talked about bringing alumni back though, so that we can share all the success stories of, Falmouth graduates, and even at the high school, I think it was right before the pandemic, we had some alumni come back and talk to students, and it was such a great experience for the students to see graduates and different areas that they explored. One was in the military, one went to college. I mean, it was really, like Heather said, it's nice when students hear from students.
We're working really hard with our new athletic director, and our seniors this year really wanted to emphasize homecoming. As administrative council really wanted to make that homecoming week, the last week of October, district-wide, so that Friday really emphasizing maroon and white for the entire district. We're adding in a first ever welcome class of 2028 to welcome all the 8th graders to Falmouth High School on that Thursday night and celebrate that with families, but building in an opportunity to hear from alumni that week may be something that we could think about as well.
Susan, regarding your work with the Horn Group, if you have any tips for us as school committee members, we really would appreciate it. We did meet with Jim Hardy from MASC, and he helped us a lot with some questions we had, but there's nothing more frustrating to myself in regards to see information being posted on Facebook by people in the community that I know is inaccurate. And I don't know how to deal with that. So any tips would be appreciated.
Great.
Mike?
almost,
Go ahead.
Henry, I think this is you, I'm not sure, if I'm wrong, you let me know, but we talked last year about co-ops. Did we, like, you said some of the older students in the high school,
Yeah,
when they do partnerships and then they can go off?
oh, yeah, so
Right, is that during the school day or?
that's
how?
during, we're talking about, that's with the vocational areas where they can,
Yeah,
not only this, internships. so-
yeah, okay.
Internship.
Yeah.
And then are they?
Yes, there's multiple internships we
Okay.
have going on, everything in the, from the medical field to the
Okay.
veterinary field, multiple ways. I think one of the things we're working at high school getting much better at. Not only do we have pathways that lead to internships, right? We also, when a student, for example, decides at the end of their sophomore year, I really want to go into veterinary medicine in some kind of, I'd like to be a vet tech. Working with our guidance department as well as our coordinator for internships, we can take that student, work that, and by the time they're a senior, they're getting the same similar internship opportunities that someone may get at Upper Cape Tech.
Okay.
And we just gotta do a better job of showing the different ways and to give all of you the different characteristics of a Falmouth High graduate. From an Ivy League school to having a career choice. We had a student graduate last year that, you know, has both early childhood certification and construction certification. She can build her own, right? So it's just, but we don't do a good job of giving that to you all, and that's something, you know, big priority for us this year.
And that's when the student would talk to you or guidance counselor?
Absolutely, they
It's
see the
not
guidance
a-
counselor, see the guidance counselor, we have our CTE department, yeah, absolutely.
Perfect, thank you.
Yep.
Terry?
I would wish every principal would work on the mechanics of finding a way for school committee members to seamlessly, surreptitiously, go into a class and just see what's going on and let the kids know that we're real. We're not just these, you know, budget people up here. So, I mean, it's hard because everybody's so busy and, you know, sometimes teachers might feel they have to put on a special show or something, but if you could work on ways to, I mean, I try to read your newsletters and see what's going on and see if I can sneak in or something. So, but if we could do some more of that.
Lunch duty, Terry, lunch duty.
You know what? Honest to goodness, I'll be there. I'll be there. And if I'm not, you can embarrass me later that I didn't follow through.
As long as we can sit down on those
You
little
may
chairs.
sit down. Yeah, I did lunch duty in the high school, so I.
Make sure it's not spaghetti.
Yeah.
Anyone else? No, no. I just wanted to make a few little comments. Dr. Harris, when you spoke with a veteran teacher of 15 years at the high school, and he said, since the pandemic, I don't know what to expect of students, that I hear that it resonates with me. I feel that professionally, obviously not with students, but in another sort of vein kind of thing. But I love that our team here is really setting clear goals, and it's aligning with so many other important things that we've had for years with Dr. Durr's goals, with the school committee goals, and I think that it is, to quote Kelly, lofty, but I think that it's a lift that we can do. I think that it's an attainable goal, and I think that it's, you know, we tell our students that it's important to challenge yourself, and you know, smooth seas never made a strong sailor, and that's the same goes for adults as well. You know, if we're not continuing to learn and challenge ourselves, what are we doing? So I love this plan. I thank you so much for your presentation. I think it was great. I missed the adjectives. Thank you, Mr. Bushy, for trying. And thank you, Heather, for bringing up getting the alumni back, because I too have people that would rather listen to peers than parents. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Once again, turn it over to Dr. Durr for the update on the budget.
Thank you. As we had stated several times in school committee, that we're going to give a budget update once a month. And then we will dig into a particular highlight within the budget. So I'm going to turn it over to Paul Dart, our Assistant Director of Finance and Operations. And you do have in your packet 2 documents that Paul will be referring to.
Thanks, everyone. So tonight we're just going to give you a brief overview of the first 2 months. So this is through August 31st. So the school year beginning in September, a lot of the salaries don't come online until September. So what I thought we might do is look at how we do some of the encumbrances and from the start of the year. So just briefly, this is the multicolored large spreadsheet that you see with a lot of numbers on it. But the total expense, the total budget on the bottom left of 56,175,000 for fiscal year 24. Expended year to date has been 1,860,000. What we've encumbered and what we'll talk a little bit more about so far year to date has been 4,857,000. The total is 6,718,000, with the budget remaining of about 49,457,000. So we're about 11, almost 12% of our budget spent for the first 2 months of this year. And what I mean by some of the examples is the second sheet here. You can see how some of the large encumbrances, and what I mean by encumbrances is essentially when we start off the school year, a good example is utilities, electricity, for example. We'll have a budget amount. We guesstimate that electricity will run us roughly 690,000 across the district for the year. So we take that money, we set it aside so it's not spent elsewhere. And that's, so it's removed from the budget line as if it was spent, even though we haven't actually paid any bills yet. So electricity is 693,000. We encumbered. For natural gas, we encumbered 463,000. We also encumbered 2,196,000 for the busing contract with Lucini for the school year. And also we've encumbered a number of another roughly $240,000 for building supplies, everything from paper towels on up to the supplies for doing the floors, for waxing the floors and so on. So we tend to buy large quantities early on in the year and then reserve amounts for expectations of purchases later on in the year. And so in that number, when you think about the expense or the run rate of expenses, we tend to front load up in the early months our expenses because of that encumbrance process. So that we're essentially reserving money for the future payments. And just for give you a sense of some of the other numbers, on the far right here column, you see the salaries and expenses per school. Just to give you a reference point, a high school, with roughly almost 11 million remaining has about 156 employees, full-time and part-time at the high school. Lawrence has about 97. Morris Pond has about 89. East Falmouth 76. 77 at Mullen Hall. North Falmouth has 57. T-ticket 65, and then there's system-wide at 33, and the ad building has 24. So all total, our head count is about 674 employees. Again, that's both full-time and part-time, just as a reference point for these salary lines.
Could you say that number again? I'm sorry, 647?
674.
674.
And as we go into the next month, September, we'll go into more detail about the salary line, and also our plan is to do some more on the detail on the special education costs and some of the grants associated with that. So that will be our topic for next month. All right.
Great.
Any questions?
Holly, so without me going and comparing every single line, which I can definitely do, but any surprises so far?
No.
Okay,
no,
great.
no. Again, this is we're relatively early in the year, so it's nothing that we've been surprised about at all that has come up.
That's good.
That's great. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
All right,
Thank you so
you're welcome.
much. Right. Good work. Let's talk about the update and act on the Juul litigation.
All right, well, I'm gonna let Mary Gans talk about that one.
Perfect.
So for those of you who are new, we did join a, it's called a mass action, which is sort of like a class action against Juul, which the lawsuit involved hundreds of school districts across the country and was targeted against Juul because Juul was targeting teenagers with their marketing techniques and their vaping devices, which we of course saw at the high school. And Juul settled the lawsuit a few months ago. And you voted to authorize Dr. Dorr to enter that settlement agreement and release. And at that time, Juul's parent company, Altria, not to be confused with Atria, Altria was not settling, was not choosing to settle at that time. Altria has now opted to settle. So it's the same type of settlement agreement. It's, again, the district would be releasing all claims forever against Altria, just like we did with Juul. And the settlement, the way it's dispersed, it's a very, very complicated formula, but it essentially boils down to overall student population and when we joined the lawsuit. We joined at the latest phase that school districts could join, but we still are estimated to get approximately $4,800 of the settlement, which is in addition to the, I believe it was around $12,000, which we were getting from Juul. So, and the money it needs to be earmarked for anti-vaping, preventative strategies, devices, resources, whatever we can come up with. So there's another settlement agreement and release that Dr. Dorr is being asked to sign. I would recommend signing it. There's really no advantage to continuing in a lawsuit against Altria when it's being strongly recommended that all of the districts now settle with Altria.
Is there a motion to act? Actually, first, are there any questions for Mary? Is there a motion to act on the Juul litigation? So, is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Roll call. Heather. Sorry.
Goldstone, yes.
Mike.
Mike Halen, yes.
Terry Maderos, yes.
Susan Auguste, yes.
Welch, yes.
Susan, yes.
Lumping, yes.
Melissa Keith, yes. Looks like that passes unanimously. Thank you all. Thank you, Mary, for the update. Great. Now, let's move on to acting on the field trip to New York City, 11/8/2023.
So Lauren's here. Would you like to come up and speak to Lauren Kenny? And this is a field trip that we've taken in the past, several years now.
I've been doing this 7-8 years now.
Yeah. Wasn't sure.
Yeah, and usually we go to Boston to the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum. But my partner in all things wonderful, Jane Baker, has assured me we can do New York City in a day. So we're upping our game. We're going to be dropped off at the Museum of Modern Art. And we'll do our Ecrasis project there, which is where students will choose a piece of artwork that speaks to them. They will journal in the moment with the artwork there. And when they come home, they will craft poetry that is inspired by the work of art, which they then will present. New York City is also an opportunity for us to go see and Juliet on Broadway. They've all experienced Shakespeare almost every year at the high school, so looking to engage them with live art as well.
And we just want to also give a shout out to FEF because they
100%.
continue.
Yeah,
and
fully
I-
funding the
I
project
know, so
every
we should
year.
put that all over the application, but it's.
Can I just add, sorry. Susan, you asked about, things to say to people. So I've been in 6 different high schools across 3 different states and several districts, and several of them were highly ranked in US News and World Report, which doesn't ever consider things that are of the excellence level of this. So I haven't been in any school, I don't know of private schools that students who are in advanced art and advanced English go with 2 teachers who are experts in the field to a top internationally renowned museum and spend the day reflecting, writing, and creating, and in the spring, do a studio presentation. It just is, I don't think our community understands the level of excellence of teachers that we have, and opportunities like this that is funded by an FEF grant that's supported by a school committee that happens on a bus in October with kids from town. So, sorry,
Thank you.
it's super cool.
Thank you. Melissa, I'm gonna use myself as advocate in the class.
That's fine.
Susan?
I just have a quick question in regards to transportation arrangements are being done by the transportation director, so they're going by Falmouth school bus or?
No, we're taking a coach bus. That's long, that's a long.
It's a good suggestion.
Again, fully funded by the FEF.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Okay. I actually would like to make a motion on this.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, sorry.
Heather's gonna take it.
Oh, sorry, go ahead, Heather.
Sorry to hold things up. 2 really quick comments. I think this is awesome. As a 7th grader, I did a field trip to New York in a day from the Eastern Shore of Maryland. So yes, you can, absolutely. And second is, I don't know which exhibit at MoMA you're going to, but some local community members, Earl and Hilda Mange, are actually part of an exhibit currently going on at MoMA about architecture and the environmental movement. So if that's within reach. Yeah.
Wonderful.
But this is awesome.
Amazing.
Thank you.
I also would just like to say that I did a one credit art class for my college. And it can be done in one day, but it definitely was not as wraparound as, having a presentation in the spring and seeing the poetry and seeing the art aligned and all of the experiences. It was nothing like that. So I also want to echo Dr. Harris. We really are so lucky to have amazing educators and the amazing FEF. So with that, I'm gonna make this motion because I love volunteering to go on these trips. I'd like to make this motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mike. Roll call, Heather.
Heather Goldstone, yes.
Mike Halen, yes.
Karen Maderas, yes.
Susan Augusta, yes. Kelly recused herself.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I didn't hear that.
Loving it.
Let's keep yes. So that passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. So exciting. Thank you, FEF. Okay, now let's act on the superintendent's evaluation timeline, and I will turn that over to Kelly.
I have nothing to add to it. We already talked about the changes last time. So it's a different timeline than in previous years because we're removing the formality of the observation process, but still highly encouraging everybody to sit down with Lori during the year and provide formative feedback.
Any questions? Any comments? Is there a motion to act on the superintendent's evaluation timeline?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Terry.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Mike. Roll call, please. I'll start with Heather.
Heather Goldstone, yes.
Mike Halen, yes.
Jerry Maderas, yes.
Susan Augusta, yes.
Welch, yes.
Susan, yes.
Open, yes.
Melissa Keith, yes. Thank you all. The superintendent's evaluation timeline passes with our hiccups from the state. Oh, that's late chance. All right, great. Thank you all. Moving on to acting on the superintendent's goals. I'll turn that over to. Go ahead. Yeah, thank you.
So this is the same as the draft that you received last time with 2 additions that were suggested by the school committee, and that would be on page 3, midway down under the key action step 2 benchmarks. I did add in the meetings that we hold with the school council PTO members with around the budget to get feedback. And then under key action 3, step 3 benchmark, same page, the number 3, facilitate the tours of all 7 buildings. Those 2. So I added that, but everything else is the same.
Great. Is there a motion to act on the superintendent's goals? Terry Maderas, thank you.
Yeah, make a motion to approve the superintendent's goals for 2023, 2024.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Kelly. Is there any discussion? Oh, roll call. Heather.
Heather Goldstone, yes.
Mike Halen, yes.
Jerry Maderas, yes.
Susan Augusta, yes.
Welch, yes.
Susan, yes.
Open, yes.
Melissa Keith, yes. Great. Thank you, everyone. Oh. I have on here that to act on the MASC delegate. And I completely did not reach out to anybody. Is there anyone who would like to perhaps volunteer to be the MASC delegate?
I'm towards the meeting, so I guess I can do it if that's okay.
Margaret, you read my mind. I meant to reach out to you last week. Thank you. Is there a motion to?
Yes, I nominate Margaret to be our
I-
representative.
Second, nominate Margaret. That would be amazing.
You need an alternate too,
Oh.
so I'll nominate myself as an alternate.
Great, I second that. I also love that. Thank you, Margaret and Terry.
You want me to clean it up and just, I nominate Margaret to be our delegate and Terry to be our alternate.
Thank you,
I'll
Kelly.
second that.
Thank you,
Clean it up.
Mike. Roll call. Let's start with Chris. No, just kidding. Come on, I'm just kidding.
Finally found the unmute button and I'm like on it. Heather Goldstone, yes.
Jerry Maderas, yes.
Susan Augusta, yes.
Welch, yes.
Open, yes.
Let's keep, yes, excellent. Thank you all so much.
Could I make a statement about this?
Yes,
Um,
please.
There's tons of, Kel, and I think you went to some individual ones sometimes, didn't you?
To the, I mean, at
There's
MASC?
so many,
Yeah.
there's so many different things. It's right in Hyannis. So if you want to go, if you see some that are interesting, you don't have to go the whole thing, other people, because you went individually, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and it's great. The presentations are fabulous. We almost always have somebody there presenting from Falmouth because we're so good at what we do.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a really great opportunity to learn a lot.
I love that you can just kind of drop in and, you know, if you have an hour, you can go see a presentation, or if you have an afternoon, you can hop in and check out a couple different things, or if you have the time to spend for the few days, I find it very helpful. I don't think I've ever gone for the entire the entire venue of it, but I really appreciate that it's there. I appreciate that it's so close.
I know, we're so spoiled.
We
I
are
mean, people
very
come
lucky.
up from across the state and
Mhm.
spend 3 straight days going to everything. And
Yes.
we just are able to pop in. We're so lucky.
Susan.
Are there specific questions that the representatives will be voting on our behalf, and will we go over those beforehand?
I think there are specific questions and we can go over them beforehand, or at least we can
Just-
email them out.
Yes.
Sure.
Briefly, however you
Sure.
figure that out.
Yeah, I was going to, if we don't bring it up at the meeting, I was going to ask any member if they had read the material, that they would give me feedback in terms of the
Great.
way to respond to the meeting and the questions.
great.
So
Thank you. Thank
Susan.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments? So now we're gonna move on to act on the memorandum of agreement for FEA Unit A Schedule of Salaries Interscholastic Athletic Program. Dr. Durr.
The next three MOAs with the FEA were discussed during executive session last time, so if anyone has any questions, Mary or I can answer those. But otherwise, nothing.
There's one
There's
change.
one
I'm sorry,
change.
Mary, could you talk about?
With the classroom moves, it was suggested, I believe, by Kelly, if there was some incident or event that required numerous, moves, involuntary moves, that this provision would not kick in. So there is paragraph 5, it's the third MOA. There's the force majeure clause, which Terry, that's French for superior, well, I forget what it.
She can tell you.
I don't know where, I'm trying to find it on here.
It's the
That's
third
our-
MOU.
We kind of jumped at that.
It's
It's like a greater force, superior force, which basically, it's often referred to as like an act of nature, or, for example, a school, we find asbestos in one of the schools, and teachers, numerous classrooms have to move. That is not encompassed by this. This is the, in here and there, the involuntary classroom move at the end of the school year. So we took that advice, we did include that, and that was incorporated.
Hopefully we'll never need it.
Yes, right.
Right, but it's good to have. So I think that we should take these individually for obvious reasons. Is there a motion to act on the MOA of FEA Unit A Schedule of Salaries Interscholastic Athletic Program? Thank you, Susan. Thank you, Mike. Roll call, please.
Heather Goldstone, yes.
Mike Halen, yes.
Karen Deers, yes.
Augusta, yes.
Welch, yes.
Lumping this.
Let's keep yes. Thank you. Now we're gonna quickly move on to act on memorandum of agreement, FEA units A, B, C, and D, subcommittees of the District Wellness Committee stipend. Is there a motion?
Second.
Thank you for keeping it easy. Let's start a roll call with Heather.
Heather Goldstone, yes.
Mike Halen, yes.
Karen Deers, yes.
Augusta, yes.
Welch, yes.
Susie, yes.
Lumping, yes.
Melissa Keith, yes. And now act on memorandum of agreement, FEA Unit A, rate of pay for moving classroom for involuntary move. So
Second.
thank you and thank you. Roll call, Heather.
Heather Goldstone, yes.
Mike Halen, yes.
Karen Deers, yes.
Augusta,
Yes, Welch, yes.
Susie, yes.
You're in a hurry.
Lumping, yes.
Melissa Keith, yes. Excellent. Thank you, everyone. Strong work all around. Thank you. Moving, I would love to sign it. Nothing would make me happier.
On behalf of the district and FEA, we appreciate the support.
Thank you so much. Okay, moving on to superintendent update. Dr. Durr.
Thank you. So the first one we're going to talk, I'm going to be doing updates on what we're learning from Chris Horn Communications. And so we've had our training in August and we did complete our homework assignment as mentioned earlier. And so actually Ryan and I are going to co-present the skills that we're learning.
Right, how did that?
So three key areas that we're going to talk about tonight is about the messages and how do we strengthen the message and how do we deliver both the assets and the challenges that we have. And then we're talking about how to layer messages and what that entails. And we will use tonight's presentation as an example of how we learned what to do and then what the next steps are to make the presentation tonight come alive and kind of live that all through the year. And then we're going to use an example, the belonging series that was mentioned on how we're doing the two-way communication on that. So in here.
It's like a drill. Just want to make sure it's nothing that's of mine.
Sorry. So I don't know if you want to take off on the, just, delivering a clear, consistent message using the tools in our toolbox. And
so we have a lot of tools in the toolbox. It's about trying to use them effectively, but also just comprehensively, because the best way to try to convey information is to tell a story. And the story of our district is that you can get a world-class education in the Falmouth Public Schools. And all know it. Our district is awesome. And being able to convey that story in our messaging is kind of key for a lot of the stuff that we do. So we have, websites, social media, promotions, publications, the weekly messages that are going out, trying to be able to convey that story in every piece of information that we do is key. And also tailoring it specifically to whatever medium it is also a big component of it. So layering these things. So using the example of this belonging event that we've been talking about. There was an email message that has already gone out, but that was crafted specifically to email form. We have social media stuff, which will be going out shortly. There's website, but finding ways that are engaging content for each of those, because definitely I think the challenge for our district is we put this information out and it goes out in one or another, and then inevitably you hear people say, well, I didn't know about it. I didn't hear about it. Now we're trying to cover our bases. This is like the 7-layer dip. You're going to be getting all the different things, no matter what, you're going to get this message. So that kind of helps in some ways.
So speaking about the tag on to that, the one of the things he taught us how to write a communication plan that's really laid out. So all the pieces that Ryan was talking about. So first the email, and then just everything leading up to the first event, and then how do we follow up about that event, then how do we lead up to the second follow up, and so forth. So just the many components, but having it laid out with dates and it's just really clear for all of us and who's assigned to what pieces. Ryan, Sharon, myself, the principals, everyone has a piece of what we're doing in that communication plan, and it just kind of keeps us all on track. And so it was a nice tool that we learned about. Speaking about the presentation tonight, so we presented the website will change by the end of the week. Our new graphic will be up, and we will be building stories, as Ryan said. Everyone learns things more through stories. So we're going to be building our stories around our 3 goals. And it's really about that Clipper experience and what we're doing. And then the social media will follow. Just looking at the content of that, we learned, like what we should focus on is, why the program, how's the program going to make a difference? I use program loosely because it really is about the work that we're doing. But then, how do we illustrate it, right? How do we illustrate our commitment? And then just key elements as we're trying to write this is about, making sure it's the simplicity of it. So that's understand that you use metaphors or analogies to help understand, but also being very clear about if there's inconsistencies in what one way may seem with another, and being able to explain that, so that's very clear. So so we will be working that over time as a team, and getting better at that. So it was interesting. If there's other things you'd like to add on that one.
I guess just the big thing too is, like, it's always a challenge as educators trying to communicate stuff effectively to families, to kids and everything else, is just having this comprehensive plan and being mindful. Chris has been really instrumentally helpful in saying a lot of the stuff. Sometimes it seems basic, but at the same time, it's actually shifting the way we're kind of approaching the communication. And it's really, I think, going to be helpful, especially with what we've already done in terms of coordinating stuff. Having that coordination doc has been huge already, to be able to assign tasks and kind of have a good home base of being able to do stuff. It seems basic, but it's going to make big changes, I feel like, in a lot of ways.
So we put the flyer, so Henry mentioned the flyer.
That was not my original.
So some clear communication. One of the things that we also learned and are doing is the dates on the district calendar will now actually link back to the information about the event. So people can click on that and then they can get it right away. So if they've forgotten about the communication we said, that they'll be able to say, oh, what's this? And then they'll be able to do it. So there's little tricks that we're learning with all of our tools, but that's one of them. So, and again, I do hope everyone joins us for this evening. Ryan, I don't know if you want to mention a little bit about the website and the situation and what.
Sure, I suppose we should talk about that too. So our current website, which used to be Blackboard Web Community Manager, got bought out. And so kind of taking it as an opportunity to kind of get a good idea of where we are in terms of web hosting companies. I started looking at others, and actually we are in the process now of starting up with a different company that will suit our needs, I think, a bit better, as well as have some other advantages. We were still looking at it in terms of accessibility, clear content, design, visual aspect of stuff, as well as actually managing the site. This is the same company that actually some of the other surrounding districts use as well. So it's definitely, I think, going to be helpful to us. I don't want to set a hard deadline at this point, but my hope would be in the new year that we would be switching. A lot of the stuff will still look a lot of the same things, but the functionality may be improved. And it will be also a nice opportunity for rebranding for a lot of this stuff as well that we've been talking about as part of the communication plan, about more engaging visuals, being able to be mindful of exactly what we're putting out for the website. So it's kind of a top-down approach. It's moving day, so we get to figure out what we're taking and what we're not.
So it's all timely, right? I mean, not that we would have wished that our website wasn't going to be supported, or that we would have need to move to something, but it is timely in this communication plan for this year. So that's it.
Yeah, it was a natural inevitability, unfortunately. Our old site's going away, so we had to do something.
Susan, if I may, all of these ideas are wonderful for the parents and the students that are currently in the system. And I look forward to all of that. I think a missing link in this town right now is for our age group in regards to the people that are helping to finance the schools, but need more information. And I think that missing link, whether we need to beef up our efforts with the print newspapers or whatever, I don't know what the answer is, but information about the programs that are going on in the school is not getting out to the older people in Falmouth.
Point well taken. We are meeting, I believe, soon with the new editor of the Enterprise. So
okay, great.
So we will definitely have that as a topic for discussion.
Thank you.
Yeah, there's mailboxes all up and down my street. That's a good point too. I mean, I'm not mailboxes, but enterprise boxes. So a lot of our age group does read the paper.
And along those same lines, like the newsletters that we do get from the principals, if we could get the senior center on that mailing list, maybe they could print a couple and put them out on the little tables they have in the little library over there.
Yeah.
People might just pick them up and peruse and see what we've got going on, especially before the play.
I was actually thinking about the senior center. So
Okay.
that's great, yeah.
All right, thank you, Ryan, for
Thank you.
helping me. That's great. I want to talk about a grant that we just got awarded. The FCC Emergency Connectivity Fund. There was a $7.1 billion program to help schools and libraries. This was all through the American Rescue Plan Act. The first two initial rounds, Falmouth Public Schools did not qualify. But in April of 2022, FCC accepted proposals for a third and final round. We applied to replace, our proposal was to place our Chromebooks. But the FCC received a lot of applications, and we were informed that we would not be receiving any money. But then, and they had a large number of applications, and so they were going by the free and reduced lunch. So the economics piece, and that's kind of where we were. But as they were going through the large number of applicants, they were eliminating, which left a lot of money on the table, and we were just notified that our application was actually accepted. I want to give a shout out to Mike Falcone, our Director of IT, just his knowledge and research about grants, but his perseverance with this grant actually, I think, brought it home. So we're receiving $247,000 worth of Chromebooks. That includes their setup and licensing. So this is billed directly from the vendor to FCC, so there's absolutely no cost to Falmouth Public Schools. We currently pay for Chromebooks through a leasing program over 4 years. We use school choice dollars for that. Because of this grant, we will not have to purchase the Chromebooks for this year. We'll be saving about $60,000 over the next 4 years on this. So it was, I just wanted to shout out and thank you. That was great. I'm going to talk a little bit about the Multnomah partnership we have. We had a meeting this morning. Henry, you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so if we're really, our goal is to make sure we have world-class education for all students, we have to listen to our partners. And I feel like we have an amazing partnership, which is next town over, that we can just drive over there. And we were listening, most of anything. So one of our two-way conversations, let's listen, let's find out what's going on. And what we heard is a tribe that wants to do whatever they can to make sure that their students are going to thrive, whether it's tutoring, counseling, mentoring, whatever it is. And it was good just to listen to find out what they need to make sure those kids are thriving. They're looking for spaces in every school, so there'll be resources there, and so that the students can see themselves, that this is a place, the school is a place for them, and they can thrive and go from there. So it was really good to see the agreement we have with them, but also we were with MASC, and having MASC and Falmouth together, we're bouncing out ideas, and we're like, oh, we got to use that. And so it was a really good, productive time. We're having quarterly meetings. This was our first one. It was nice to have all three, the tribe, ourselves, as well as MASC there. And we'll have some other ones, maybe more just our schools. And then we made sure that we want them to come here for reports of what's going on in our interactions. So we're committed to a lot of interactions. You know that we're gonna have orange. I was trying to decide if I'm gonna do my David Longy shirt or my orange shirt but that's coming out on it's officially Orange T-shirt Day is on Saturday, but the schools, if they want to, are gonna wear it on Friday to support that mission. But we'll have Indigenous dances. We're gonna do some stuff during November, so for the Heritage Month. So there's a lot of stuff going on, and we're glad to hear and be connected. I just cannot emphasize how great it is to have a tribe that wants to come alongside us and take care, make sure that the students are doing well, and so they have great resources, grants going on. So I'm excited about that.
We talked today too about having come and present again to the school grade. So we're looking forward to finding a date that they're available to come and speak. And then just a little bit about our day of belonging. It was mentioned, and Henry has his shirt on, but Tanya and Henry, do you want to talk a little bit about the day of belonging, which is October 6th for our staff?
I'm sorry.
We're really excited this year, working with community partners, No Place for Hate Falmouth, sponsoring in part, we're bringing in Facing History in Ourselves. So we're gonna come in and spend some time, working with us around, cultivating our sense of belonging. We're also empowering, a number of our staff to lead workshops again this year, around a range of, topics that affect our sense of belonging, ranging from talking about anti-Semitism, to talking about disabilities and abilities. We're talking about how to use data, real-time data, not like big data dashboards, but ways that we can understand students' behaviors and what they're doing in real time and respond to that. It's the term is called street data. So that's what we're going to be working with. And there's another one around
Special
culture and reconnect.
Yeah, reconnect,
Yeah.
yeah.
So we've got some facilitated text studies that we're gonna whet the appetite with a few excerpts and then offer book studies and PLCs over the course of the year. Ways that people can access professional learning that's personalized to the Clipper experience, but also help them fulfill some of their relicensure responsibilities, trying to connect those two. And what else, Henry?
I just love the professional dialogue. I mean,
Yeah.
honestly, getting together and having the resource, digging into that resource, and then coming back and just like going after it. And at the end of the day, whatever you learn, you're coming around. And I didn't go to that session, but I have a round table where we're all sitting around and talking about it. And the main goal, all our kids feel that this is a belonging place. What are we going to do to make sure this is a place where the kids are comfortable and ready to learn excellent in their school. So it's a great, I think it's just that someone's saying, I can't believe Falmouth is dedicating, who was it? It was Lizzie saying, I can't believe Falmouth is dedicating a whole day to professional learning on this subject to make sure our kids are welcome and safe and ready to learn in this environment. So it's.
And just to restate, again, this is October 6th, next Friday is a professional development day for our teachers. So we have no students that day. And so the full day is around professional development for our staff. And so this is our second annual. Last year we kicked off on the Day of Belonging and it was so popular and we got such great feedback that we're bringing new resources each year. But so thank you. The two of them have been doing a lot of planning for the day. I appreciate that. The next thing I want to talk about are the playgrounds at our schools. I want to give a shout out to Jeremiah Pearson. He is just fantastic to work with. I mean, he just takes such good care of the grounds at all of our schools. In North Falmouth this year, we have a student that is in a wheelchair that was not accessing the playground. That we wanted to improve that access. So Jeremiah came up with mats and we're going to show what that looks like. We've got a couple pictures here of the mats on the playground. Yeah, let's start. So you can see, so the wheelchair will roll over the mats easily and up to each piece of the playground so that the student can access. You can show them the other two. That's a little closer view of it. And then they just lay on top of the wood chips, so good drainage. So because of that, he got in his mind that he really wants to do this for all the playgrounds, not only at the schools, but across the town. And so he built into the DPW capital plan this year and in future years. So a reoccurring $29,000 to make sure that all of our playgrounds have the ADA compliant mats for our schools. So I just, again, thank you to Jeremiah and for including our schools and doing that. So I just wanted to be able to share that. And then my last update, our next school tour is October 2nd. So that's next Monday. The schools that will be touring on Monday are North, Lawrence, and Mullen Hall. we'll be doing another one in second semester to pick up a few more schools on Monday. So we invite all the school committee members, finance committee members, the town manager. Being new, it would be nice, for him to be able to see our schools, the new chief of police. So anyway, so that's Monday, and I hope you can join us. I think you already have an email out from Sharon, and so if you just let her know if you're able to join us. We will meet here, we take a bus to each one of the schools, and then we will arrive back here, leaving at 9:15, and we'll arrive back by noon.
That's great. Thank you. I think the maps are great. Not what I thought of when we originally spoke of them, so. Surprisingly exciting. Okay. Routine business. Is there a motion to approve the minutes of September 12th, 2023?
Make a motion to approve the minutes.
Thank you, Kelly. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Terry. Roll call, please. Heather.
Heather Goldstone, yes.
Mike Halen, yes.
Jordan Dearest, yes.
Augusta, yes. Welch, yes.
Super abstain.
Loving, yes.
Melissa Keith, yes. That passes. Thank you all so much. Any requests for information? Terry.
Since we saw we've had Lori's goals for the year, we've had the school presentation for the district for the year, I think, could we please schedule a workshop for us to do our goals?
That's a great idea.
I mean, it's getting, we're almost into October, so.
Yes, I will put out some dates and see if they work for everyone, and I think that's a great idea. Thank you, Terry. Any other requests for information? Does anyone want to provide anyone with information? Heather, please.
This is actually a request for information. I don't know if Lori would be in a position to answer tonight or later, but just curious, reading in the paper about the plans for a large inclusive playground that was slated to be part of housing development in East Falmouth. Hearing what you were just talking about in terms of adding mats and making our school playgrounds more accessible, given that our school playgrounds are open to the public. I'm just wondering if there has been dialogue with the town around the need for an additional inclusive playground, or whether some of those plans could be wrapped into improvements planned or otherwise for our school playgrounds.
I will certainly look into that.
Great, thank you. Anyone else? Is there a motion to?
Wait a minute, you didn't do committee reports.
Oh,
yet.
you're right, I didn't. I totally skipped it.
Yeah.
Thank you, Terry, for keeping me on track.
Okay.
Terry, please.
So the first one I'll give is on VIPS. VIPS Student of the Month is Anna Bennett. The year started off with a great number of students who are in the college mentoring program. This is a great opportunity for the kids. They get help write in their essays, they get visits to the college. So they have 18 students matched with mentors. And someone was talking about having alumni come back. Some of the alumni from last year either they're planning to or they've come back, but that's in the works for the kids to get from kids information too. There's a new program called Be Bold for fourth grade girls. It's being piloted this year and it's at T-Ticket in East Falmouth, but that's just the pilot program. It's going to be expanded to all the elementary schools, hopefully next year. Okay, the other committee I'll report on is the collaborative. The collaborative they missed Mike.
That was the best.
Yeah, the collaborative made a big move this summer, moving Waypoint from Sandwich to South Yarmouth. Waypoint, if you don't know about it, is an alternative education facility, which they'll give us more information as the year goes on. The other, another good thing that happened for them was the ASLP program, which is the program that takes junior high science students and they stay at the Mass Maritime. They actually got a grant, so it's going to cost $200 less this year. So it's nice to hear something going down. And they're also, during this program, this coming summer, going to add courses on sustainable energy.
Nice.
So that's good. They talked about they're having a hard time finding bus drivers, but they're loath to advertise around here because they may take some of our bus drivers. Because the pool, we all use the same pool. So he said, I mean, we get one and Falmouth loses one, or DY loses one, or whatever. So I don't know, they're really working on this bus driver situation. And the other thing they do every year that a lot of our teachers are going to is the professional development workshops next Friday, is it? So I guess 350 Falmouth teachers have already registered for that. So it's great. So there's my reports.
Thank you, Terry. Any other committee member reports?
Can I just, not a report, but I know that there are some alumni in Falmouth who are having a walk at the North Falmouth School on October 21st. And deadline to register is, I believe, next Friday. So just throwing it out there for everyone.
What's the walk
It's in
for?
memory of the woman who passed across North Falmouth a couple of years ago. So anyone who can get involved, you can register by next Friday, the 7th, but the walk is the 21st.
Thank you very much. Any other committee member reports? Kelly, do you want to talk about your very first policy meeting yesterday?
Oh, yes, I had policy yesterday. I'm on so many committees, I can't keep them straight. I had my very first policy meeting and we talked about, oh gosh, what did we talk about? I'm sorry. Oh, you put me on the spot.
Finance,
We talked about, yeah,
appropriate usage of technology.
so you should have asked her. She's on it.
And what was the first one there?
Technology was
Well,
first.
technology, public comment.
And public comment.
Public comment, yeah.
Yes. So we're meeting again, but hopefully it will be on for first read at our next meeting.
Yes.
Sorry.
Sorry to put you on the spot. I was just so excited to have your policy.
I'm so thrilled.
We're happy to have you. Anyone else? Committee member reports? No. Okay. Is there a motion to move into executive session to discuss strategy with regards to collective bargaining with FEA units A, B, C, and D, specifically memorandum of agreement? Having these discussions in open session may be detrimental to the school committee's bargaining position and pursuant to GL 30A, section 21A7, to comply with or act under the authority of general or special law or federal grant. And it is anticipated that the school committee will not return to open session.
That has to be her.
Second.
motion. You have to make a motion, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
Yep.
I'm making that motion. Sue's gonna second it. Roll call. Heather.
Goldstone, yes.
Mike Halen, yes.
Troy Jarrett, yes.
Augusta, yes. Welch, yes.
Susie, yes.
Lumping yes.
Let's keep yes. Thank you all.
Do we have a link for Heather, for executive?
We will have a link for Heather for executive.